Hey, this is Scott from the Disney Cruise Line blog. I wanted to invite you to join us for the inaugural Disney Cruise Line blog group cruise aboard the Disney Dream, June 19th to 23rd, 2019. It is a 4-night Bohemian cruise with 2 stops at Castaway Cay. Additionally, we just announced the second DCL blog group cruise. Why would we announce a second DCL blog group cruise before we even embark on the inaugural group cruise? That's because we wanted to take advantage of opening day pricing. The cruise, February 20th, 2020, Disney Magic, Port Miami. It's a 4-night Bohemian cruise from Miami, Nassau, Castaway Cay, and a day at sea. If you'd like to join us for either, or better yet, both of these sailings, head over onto the website and click on the DCL blog group cruise icon. There you will find all the information you need to join us by booking through Storybook Destinations, our travel partner for these group cruises. We can't wait to set sail on these 2 adventures with you. Welcome to the Disney Cruise Line blog podcast. I'm your host, Scott, joined by Emily and Isabel on this timely trip report podcast from our 7-night Mediterranean cruise this past June.
The good news is, although we're a little bit late, it's still very fresh in our minds because it was so exciting and so impressionable. So this would have been the year that we would have spent the 10 days at St. John, but due to the hurricane, that wasn't the best idea for vacationing. So we didn't have a summer cruise booked yet. And the week that we were going to get on the Magic for spring break in March, I happened to be sitting in Scott's office perusing Disney Cruise Line's website.
That was the Marvel Day at Sea cruise.
Yes. So because I booked the Med cruise on Monday and we left the following Sunday. Anyways, found a IGT rate, which was insanely cheap for the 3 of us. So if you're not familiar with that, IGT is Inside Guarantee Stateroom. So you book it. There's no refunds. You pay in full at the time. They also do OGT and VGT, which they didn't have. They only had IGT. That's Ocean View Veranda. And booked it with our travel agent and figured I would worry about airfare later because the price was crazy. And it was right after Isabel got out of school. So it was extremely inexpensive for that cruise. It was just around $4,000 for Scott, Isabel, and I in the stateroom, including taxes. So we booked it, and you don't get your stateroom assigned to you until about 12 days before the cruise. And like I said, it is no refunds, which is fine. It was kind of like a spur of the moment, and Scott, I think he thought I was kidding until I was like, oh yeah, no, I really booked the cruise. So that's how we got onto the Mediterranean cruise. Kind of just the last minute. We always wanted to do one. We were kind of behind in the times, but just thought this was a good opportunity.
So with that becomes, we need to get to Barcelona. And Emily did a great, fantastic job of finding some, real cheap flights for us, which took us to JFK, Paris, and on to Barcelona. And after our trip to Alaska last year, and my issues with customs and border and whatever, and they suggested we go for global entry, we did go and apply and get global entry over this last year, which I can tell you immediately made a difference when we went to MCO to fly out of Orlando. And we just got in that nice, I call it the best fast pass you can get in Orlando. It's the pre-check line at MCO. And dropped our luggage off at the airport at the desk, and we were through security within 5 minutes.
Yeah. And I think Isabel was super excited and a little bit amazed too, because MCO, if any of you guys fly in and out of there, it's a little bit wild. And we all looked at each other, and including Isabel, who's been in many airfare journeys with us, kind of like, why didn't we do this sooner? Mm-hmm. And
I'll jump ahead. It was amazing coming back at the end, going through the global entry line. Once again, it was a relatively few-minute ordeal to get through. So if you're on the fence about even, getting pre-check, I would highly suggest going for it.
Yeah, global entry includes pre-check. So
Global entry, depend on how and where you travel. That's kind of up to you. But at the very least, pre-check is the way to go, especially if you're flying out of MCO, at some peak times. Even though they claim they're trying to get better from the general line, but, so much nicer just to skip that line.
And leave your shoes on.
Yeah, laptops in your bag, all that fun stuff. All right. So our first day was, flying, across the world. And so Emily found some amazing flights, which, did require some more effort on our part having to connecting flights, but it was worth it. We got to Barcelona. It was about a 30-minute a 30-minute taxi ride for us. And we did get stuck in kind of like, I don't know if there's an accident or some real heavy rush hour traffic, but from the airport to the hotel, which we stayed at a hotel that's 5 minutes taxi ride from the port. You can see it. It's Eurostars Marina Grand. It's kind of right there down on the water.
Of note, I did not get any deals, so to speak, on the hotel, except that I did book directly with the hotel. And at the time that I booked, all of the rooms that they have were the same price. That was from a junior suite to a city view suite to a regular room. Every single room that they had available was the same price. So I didn't tell Scott and Isabel, but I booked the most expensive room that they had because it was the same price as the others, which was just under $500. Now, normally we wouldn't spend that much on a hotel for one night, but it was very close to the port. Barcelona books up very fast. When I was starting to look in March and April, there were listings that there was 85% of the city was booked. There's a lot of hostels and things like that, which is fine. But I wanted a place that was, if we were going to stay there, we might as well stay close-ish. And it had a breakfast, which I like the places, makes it convenient for us. And since we got such a good deal on the cruise and the airfare, why not splurge a little bit on the hotel? And I'm pretty sure that the family was happy with my decision.
Yeah, it was an awesome hotel. We'll get more into that.
Very nice room.
Talk about the next day here, but we I don't know, what time did we land in Barcelona? Like, it was in the morning, so we pretty much had a full day in Barcelona, and that's part of the reason Emily liked this location for the hotel, because we could go drop our stuff off and still be right there within walking distance to the little,
The
downtown area. Yeah. Las Ramblas. So that's kind of what we did. We got there. We went and dropped our luggage off at the hotel, did like a pre-check-in. Room wasn't ready, so we just went out. We walked around. We had an awesome lunch at a place that was recommended to us.
Yes, someone who had been to Barcelona a few times for some meetings told us, hey, you got to go get tapas at this place. And it was a little bit further, but it was well worth it. If you've seen our trip report, the joke was that we thought that the wine prices, Scott and I got a glass of wine each. And I thought, man, these are pretty expensive. I looked at
thought it was the glass price.
It was the bottle price. Our glasses of wine were like $2. So Isabel enjoyed it too. We got a whole bunch of different tapas. There were shrimp and cheese and peppers, and it was super great. The whole thing was only like $34, and we got a ton of food. So very, very awesome. Loved walking around the city.
It's definitely a place we want to go and spend more time in.
For sure. It was awesome.
Along our walk, we ran into the Barcelona Disney store, which had some, unique Barcelona items to it. Logo or named items.
We picked up some wine and champagne to take on the ship with us, because there were some stores there. We got to see one of the cathedrals, but there's one that we didn't get to see, which was the Segunda Familia, I think. We missed that one, but we saw one of them.
Being that we flew, from Florida to Barcelona and then immediately went out and about. We were running on empty, so to speak, and we...
But hey, when you get back to your hotel and you check in, they meet you with a glass of cava.
Yeah. So, got back to the
that place
hotel.
was gorgeous.
Got back to the hotel, checked into our room, went up to check out the pool area.
We did plan on swimming, but the pool's not heated and it's on the rooftop. And Barcelona does not have the temperatures that we are used to. And although it was warm walking around the city, the unheated pool was frigid.
Very.
Yeah. Isabel put one toe in and was like, I'm good. Thanks, though.
She gave it a try.
Sure did.
And we spent the rest of the afternoon kind of, slight unpacking, just kind of resting. And we went down and had like some more tapas at the hotel bar and some wine. And that was about it. I think about 6 o'clock, we were all fast asleep, 6 o'clock in the evening. And we all slept for a good solid 12 hours. The next morning was Embarkation Day. So Emily got up and, what'd you do? Run on the treadmill?
Yeah, I went up to the gym, but I took you with me because I knew you'd want to get some shots of the magic because she was there and you could see it.
From the top floor, you can see the port, you see the magic. A little earlier in the day or morning, could have woken up and actually watched the magic arrive, but
You were too tired?
The bed was very comfortable.
They had a pillow menu.
Yes, they had a pillow menu, and they had a Mickey Mouse pillow on the list as well, but we did not ask for any.
I mean, this room was humongous. It was a bathroom, a half bathroom.
2 bathrooms, yeah.
I mean,
A TV room, like a lounge area with a pull-out couch.
it was
balcony.
Yeah, it was gorgeous.
Yeah, there's a whole...
Isabel had a queen-size bed to sleep in that was separate. It was like a pull-out couch, but they made it up for us, and it was separate. I mean, it was gorgeous. Did you sleep good, Isabel?
Yes.
And you enjoyed the hotel as well?
There's a entire... We did a whole review of the hotel and room over on the website that I'll link to here in the show notes. We had another one of the big perks of the hotel was the included brunch, which,
Continental breakfast. It was early.
Yeah, it was called a continental breakfast.
Yeah, we rope dropped it as the
but
Sanders
you never
do.
know what you get when it says continental breakfast.
I don't know. Europe has not let me down yet, Scott. We're
Right.
2 for 2.
Copenhagen was pretty darn impressive, but this one, wow.
Isabel, tell everyone what your favorite thing was on that.
Churros and Nutella.
And
Pancake machine.
the pancake machine.
You push a button, you get a pancake.
It
Push
was
the
so
button
cute.
again, you get another pancake.
Yeah, it was adorable.
Self-service espresso machine.
Self-service espresso. Get it to go. They also had a mimosa bar, also red wine, white wine.
Self-service.
Self-service. The other thing was, that aside though, the food, the amount of food that we had.
Charcuterie.
It was crazy. They had a whole gluten-free section. There were breads and danishes and donuts and the cheese and salads, and Scott did a good job with pictures of everything. But man, this was definitely worth. If we would have went somewhere, thinking of being on property,
Disney property.
even comparing it to the California Grill brunch, they only had California Grill brunch probably only has a third of what that had, and
less the entrees.
And I think that this probably would have been about a $200 meal here stateside, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Especially with the self-service espresso machine.
Between the espressos and the wine and mimosa.
And all the it wasn't... Yeah. It was crazy. Hot foods, eggs. It was crazy. But we
and it was all good. It wasn't...
Right. Brie. And take it to go. And
you get Manchego in Spain, it's a lot different than Publix.
Jeez Louise. Yeah. So that was impressive. Let's just say that was impressive, to say the least. We had a lovely experience. Even Isabel could get decaf. It was incredible. There were people there. There was self-service. At one point they were like, do you want us to get you a coffee? But Scott and I were, between coffee and wine, it's kind of funny. It's like uppers, downers, and it was delicious.
Yeah, Barcelona. I mean, Barcelona was our short time in Barcelona was pretty great. I said we would like to go back sometime just to spend some more time in the city there.
Definitely one of my favorite cities. See museums and
go to the places that we should have went to, but we didn't because.
And the good thing about Europe too is you're eating the stuff. Although it's mostly, it's mostly proteins, but you're eating this stuff, but you're walking everywhere too. Right. So, you don't. It's not like here where you would go to the homecoming brunch and then you get back in your car. Not at all. I mean, you're all over the place. So it's great. It's great.
So after breakfast, we were kind of packed. We're kind of eager to get going in a way, and so we just kind of got packed up and kind of looked at. It was only about 9:20 or so, so we just decided to go down. We got a taxi over to the port. We figured, we're just going to stand around here staring at the walls, so why don't we just go stand in the line at the port, sit on a bench or something, terminal.
But we wanted to be there first.
Yeah, and so we got it was only a 5-minute taxi ride, and I think it's like, maybe a mile walk if you really, really wanted to.
It wasn't far. You'd have to go over this bridge and stuff, but why would you want to? We didn't want to haul our luggage, and we're not that cheap. No. We can do it.
So our goal was to be one of the first to the terminal, to get into the terminal, because we wanted to inquire about upgrading at the port. And I don't know, we got there maybe 9:35, and the terminal didn't open until 10:30.
We were assigned your typical deck 2 room, inside stateroom, and we had a deck 2 ocean view before on the Magic and did not have a good experience, so I was kind of nervous about that. Plus, had never inquired about upgrading before, so thought it would be something to try to do.
Yeah, we got a good price on the cruise, good price on the airfare, so why not inquire within? And I don't know, we weren't the only family there. I think we ended up being maybe the 3rd or 4th family in line. Yeah. 10:30 they let us in, and we went into the concierge and platinum line and saw the sign, and it was confirmed.
Captain
no upgrades
Mickey,
available.
Your ship is full.
So,
but the port area of Barcelona is cool. They've got some duty-free shops, where you can get cigarettes or wine or what have you. They have a little gift shop. There was some soccer stuff, Barcelona shirts. Isabel got something. What did you get? Didn't you get a fan, babe?
Yes.
Yeah. So they had stuff there, jewelry, any last-minute sundries that you might need, which would be cheaper there than on the ship. So, if you wanted snacks or something like that, medication. They had, 3 or 4 different shops there, Scott?
Yeah. There's like a T-shirt, like, that kind of shop.
Yeah. So that was.
There was the duty-free stop, and then the sundry shop, and maybe one other smaller, like maybe smaller liquor, a convenience store kind of thing. Get some snacks. They started boarding at 11:45. It was a typical embarkation day for us. Lunch, walk around the ship, drop off our, carry-on luggage in the stateroom, muster drill, sail away party, that kind of stuff. I won't get into details because there's a lot to talk about, itinerary-wise and ports. So if you've followed along with our trip reports, it's nothing out of the ordinary. Even though we were one of the first to the port, we did not get our luggage, and our luggage was not delivered to the room until sometime mid sail away party. Mm-hmm. So we were kind of behind the 8 ball, getting ready for dinner, but everything did arrive, so that's always a sigh of relief. It was interesting because this was the summer of duplicate shows on the ship, and right away with the sail away party, Darren, our cruise director, gave us the company line of how it's to help everybody, ease their schedules in and, see what they want to see on their, a little more of their own schedule instead of cramming everything in every day. But in reality, it was, making more work, at least in my opinion, it was making more work for the crew, the cast of the Walt Disney Theater, the more shows, the extra shows. And I don't know, the thing about that I didn't really like is putting the variety acts in the smaller venue like Fathoms there on the Magic, where if you don't get there early, you might get a seat where you can't really see. And I've been, people have told me on the Dream and Fantasy, when it's like in the Tube or Evolution, it's even worse of a situation.
Don't you remember when we had to watch the Juggler in the D Lounge?
Yeah,
And he
kept
couldn't.
hitting the ceiling.
It
Mhm.
was like,
So I think where it impacts a lot of the variety acts, because they're doing kind of a, augmented show, or not a, altered show in a smaller venue, and the seating isn't necessarily the best as it would be in the theater. But multiple times during this cruise, it was told to us, this is a fantastic idea that we're doing, and this is why we're doing it. This is why it's good for you. And fast forward to this fall, they're back to not doing that. And I can only assume it was guest feedback. Anyway, that was, that's going to do it for Embarkation Day. That was, dinner, bed, get ready for the cruise. I don't think we did much of anything.
no, because we had our sea day the next
Yeah.
day. It's always good stuff.
So yeah, our next day was the first day of actual cruising, day 2 of the cruise. We spent at sea. We sailed due east, straight across to Italy. It was one of those that, and we had great weather, sunny day. It was a pre-planned day to relax and kind of hang out at the pool, because, when you're looking ahead at the rest of the cruise, it's going to be a busy port-intensive vacation for us. So we want to take advantage. It was an awesome day, so hung out at the pool. Had lunch at Pinocchio's, which was awesome because they had a butternut squash pizza.
Yeah, I was excited.
I think,
Also, it was good.
yeah, it was nice to see them have something other than, cheese and a variation of cheese with just cheese and pepperoni.
I made sure to tell them when we went up there. I was like, thank you guys for offering something different.
And I don't know. In all, we watched 3 movies up on the pool deck
Yeah, we had a good
on
day.
that first sea day. Isabel had a, little spa moment.
Well, we decided to. I've only used the spa for working out. Never had a massage or anything there. Scott either. Rainforest Room. It's still on our list to do, but we always still do things as a family, so we haven't done that. But just on a whim, went up and asked how much it was to do a nail polish, and not a manicure for Isabel, but what the age was. And she said, well, any age, and this is how much it is. And so she got her. I signed her up to get her fingers and toes done, and they worked her in. The gal that was actually doing the scheduling worked her in. So we checked her in and let her go, let her pick out her own stuff, and told her we'd be back afterwards to pay, but they ended up letting me pay first so that she could just do her thing. So Isabel, do you want to talk about that? How was your experience?
Very nice.
It was very nice. She felt like a big girl in the spa, getting her nails done.
How long did that nail polish last? Let's talk about that.
Oh, very long. I think it was a gel.
But we're talking like into July, right?
Oh, yeah.
I've never seen nail. I mean,
It wasn't so fully on.
But for
it's-
pools and water parks that we go to, it was pretty good.
yeah, beach time. So it was.
So yeah, she got her nails done, and it was a nice little thing.
Would you go again?
Yes.
Well, there you have it. Seal of approval from Isabel. So, after our very strenuous day of watching movies and getting our nails did
And eating pizza.
and eating pizza, we headed to Fathoms for the 2:00 ventriloquist show, John Kimmons, which I don't know. Fathoms was, by the end, it was about 80-90% full.
It was pretty busy.
They definitely packed it in for a variety act, which was awesome, and he was awesome. There was this dad from the audience that got pulled up as part of the guest participation part at the end, and he was the ventriloquist dummy for the grand finale, and the guy just
And that was a hoot. We were laughing for a long time.
sometimes guest participation doesn't really go over so well. Sometimes it does. You never know. This was probably one of those, once it hit a home run. It was great, and definitely go back to see John Kimmons act in the future. After some travel, day at the pool, Embarkation day, we decided to get, go do some laundry just to get, a fresh start for our port day.
Well, plus this is the day that we knew that
The machines
later
are-
in the cruise it would be harder to do. And believe it or not, there were a lot of people already doing laundry.
People are getting hip to doing the laundry on these cruises. Let me tell you, it has become the place to be, and with the new laundry system that they have, it tells you how many washers and dryers are open on the little display. What do you call that? Display panel, control panel in the laundrette. It'll tell you availability in the other laundry rooms on the ship, so you don't have to run around trying to find something open. And best of all, it now will alert you via the Navigator app and also the Wave phone that your cycle's done. So if you forget to set that timer or make a mental note of what time you need to get back there for your clothes, you get that nicely reminder. And I think overall, the experience on this cruise, that helped a lot. I didn't see nearly as many times where clothes were abandoned in the washer or dryer and, or laundry thrown on the table because somebody never came back in a timely manner. So it was definitely an improvement. Now also, if you can buy laundry tokens. Say you go in there and you want to buy 10 tokens for wash and dry. Me, Scott, but Emily or Isabel, being in the same stateroom, could use those as well because you're more or less buying credits to your stateroom, not an individual. So that makes it easy. If somebody else wants to run down, you don't have to pass your card off or, buy a new token there. And say you do buy 10, I was still buying tokens. I'd buy 2 at a time, one for each washer as I got there. So I just had the dryer. But if you don't say you buy a bunch of them at the beginning of the cruise and you don't use them all, they're refunded at the end of the cruise. So it's just
Nothing lost.
it's definitely an improvement in the laundry room area. It was formal night. We had dinner in Rapunzel's royal table, and after our first dinner experience at Rapunzel's on the 5-night, where it's kind of the full show. On these longer sailings, it's split between a thug menu and the lantern menu. Where the thug menu is a little less Rapunzel, and then the lantern night is the birthday celebration.
I love the thug menu. I mean, it was fun. Rapunzel's is great. Rapunzel's and Tiana's are just awesome venues. They're really great.
And my favorite part of the thug menu, the candle napkin is in use.
The only one you remember how to make. And Isabel. She's a candle napkin fiend.
I make candle napkins at every restaurant I go to now. It's something I learned on a cruise years ago. I did when they still did napkin folding. I love that little activity on a sea day.
Well, they still do towel folding.
Yeah, but towel folding, napkin folding, you can impress, anybody at a dinner.
True story. Your family and friends.
I've got more dinner guests than I have overnight guests. Do nice towel animals on the bed. Anywho, we called it a day. Our totally relaxing day was meant to get us ready, recharged after the travel to Barcelona to get ready for our port-intensive cruise. And on our first port day, we were in Naples, Italy, the home of pizza. So naturally, everyone wanted to go to Capri.
It's called Capri, Scott.
Capri.
Thank you.
It's beautiful.
You wouldn't know. We've only seen it in pictures.
Yeah. Because we decided, or I shouldn't say we decided. The family
No, let's
was kind
backtrack.
enough.
So basically, I said, Isabel, here are our ports in Italy. Here are what we are doing. What is the number one thing you want to see? She said, the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Scott, what is the number one thing that you want to see? And he said pizza. But he wanted to make pizza. Perfect. So we made sure that Isabel got to see what she wanted to see. Scott got to do what he wanted to do. And I did look, we are very well versed on doing all of these. By the way, yes, there was, what did Emily want to do? And it was go to the city of Ez. So
I wanted to go there too, so it doesn't really count.
But, it wasn't like just what did Scott and Isabel want. We are very well versed into booking our own tours. And so I scoured and looked for a tour to Capri on our own, taking the hydrofoil boats. But everything was a full day, an 8-hour day. And so we weren't able to find something that was half day at Capri because you want to go there and come back because it's farther and then make pizza. So we decided on, I don't want to say settled, we decided on pizza making and then touring Naples. So I booked a pizza making lesson via CiaoFlorence is the website. Scott can link it in the show notes. And then, it was, what was it, like 11:30 or something like that? So we just started walking around Naples.
We walked around Naples as independent guests.
Oh yes, that Darren calls it independent guests.
It was very distinct between Port Adventure guest and independent, whereas I'm sure, reading between the lines, those of us that are risking life and limb ashore by not paying for a Disney Port Adventure. I don't know. It seemed to just be real heavy on the statement multiple times on the cruise.
We were fine.
I know.
There was no issue.
Yes, even though Rick Steves may have warned you about pickpockets in Naples.
By the way, the Rick Steve Mediterranean Ports Guide, it's the first time I've got a Rick Steves book. Wow. Just want to throw that out there. I got it off Amazon. It was probably the most helpful tour book I've ever gotten for any of our cruises, from Norway to Iceland to Alaska. I don't know why I haven't gotten them before, but I didn't read it cover to cover. I just kind of glanced at our ports and things, but it was very helpful. So we can get to that later. But anyway, Scott, talk about your pizza.
Well, after walking around in little alleys and shops and whatnot,
gosh, the food, sandwiches, all those little shops we passed, it is crazy. Italy's amazing. Pasta,
eating vacation,
sandwiches, pizza, Aperol spritzes on every
like 10 in the
corner.
morning.
I mean,
10
it
in
was
the
just limoncello, wine. It was just like every other shop. Gelato. Like, we were going to make pizza, so we didn't get anything, but we were marveling at all this stuff. Even Isabel was like, "Wow, this is neat."
So we made it along to Anare Trattoria Pizzeria for our pizza making course, and our Pizzolo Gennaro kind of welcomed us into his pizza kitchen. He kind of showed us around, gave us the basics. He started with telling us how they make the dough, everything like that. The preparation, how. And
it is warm because there's a big pizza oven there.
300 degrees Celsius.
So you're gonna get a little sweaty.
Yeah, it was hot. As Isabel found out when she had to take a little break and go sit over by the door with a glass of water.
But man, this place was awesome. We were the only ones there because we were there right when they opened. We got there so early that they weren't ready for us yet. So of course, being Scott and Emily, we had a glass of wine each. Isabel had some water or something like that.
Water.
And highly recommend this. This was amazing. They spent so much time with Isabel.
He even made him a pizza heart.
I mean, they helped her. They let her use the peel to put it. I mean, it was, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, it was great. And if going to Naples and wanting to make pizza is something you'd like to do on a cruise, I highly recommend doing something like this. Just, kind of finding it on your own versus like a Disney port adventure. So primarily because it was just us, the three of us, in this restaurant. But we didn't have to, we didn't.
It's
It was like
family owned.
Yeah, it was like going to this family's restaurant, and we didn't have to. That whole, there are 30 people in this port adventure, and we all have to wait our turn, kind of thing, and it's all rushed. This was take your time, freely giving out his recipes. Took the time to, really involve Isabel in this, which was really awesome. Because at first they were concerned because of the, intensity of the oven, but they're like, as long as you guys are cool, and she's cool, she got to make her own pizza. And finally at the end they did kind of let her play around the oven.
And the pizza was in a heart.
Yeah, they made her pizza into a heart.
It's Europe.
Yeah.
It's not like in the U.S. where they would have been like. So
I found it really turned out to be an awesome experience because it was such an intimate experience with just the really 4 or 5 of us that were in that room. We all got the hands-on experience, and then we got to eat.
And
what I didn't know was that it also included an appetizer, which, if you're a fan of bruschetta, this is like nothing you've ever had in the States. Those tomatoes taste like something sweet. I can't even explain it. It was insane. And dessert, which we didn't
sort of pie or tart.
Yeah, we didn't even realize because we had pizza. I wasn't even hungry. Like, it was crazy.
Well, on top of that, while we were sitting there drinking the wine, when we first got there, I got a phone call, and it happened to be the tour operator who we booked through. They had a car waiting for us at the port to bring us over there, which, even going back through the emails and stuff and the booking information, we still didn't see any, that is part of it.
We thought it was meet at the restaurant, which was fine because it wasn't far.
But
we also I didn't want to wait at the ship. I mean, looking back, they were going to pick you up at 11:30, but you get there at like 7 or something crazy. We didn't want to sit and wait at the ship and then go all the way back for them to bring us all the way. So it ended up working out fine. We were there. You prepay for it, so it was fine. But
yeah, I was just kind of saying that to give it what we did added value in that, we didn't know about it, but it was still pretty awesome because it was a walk from the port. So, but we got to see places, shops, and it was part of our exploring Naples. So we didn't mind that at all. But if you're not into walking around, just know that what we will link to, if it's still being offered in the same, did include transportation to the restaurant. After that, we all made pizzas. So we had 3 pizzas, the appetizers, and the dessert, and we left with a box of pizza that we're like, all right, I didn't realize we were going to have this whole extra pizza worth of food to take around. It's not like I'm just going to go home and throw it in the fridge. So I carried it around. We passed it off throughout the day. Who's going to carry it for a little bit. As we walked around Naples. Our next stop in Naples was the Naples Archaeological Museum. Archaeology Museum. It's got a better local name, but I'm not even going to try it. It was €12 for adults, and children under 18 were free.
And they let us check our pizza.
Yeah, you have to. It was a museum. You gotta, they had complimentary lockers for your bags, and they also gave us a little, tag to check our pizza, which was great. The museum was full of artifacts, primarily gigantic sculptures from Pompeii and the Herculean.
Roman.
Yeah, that were. I can't say these words.
Isabel is very interested and has always enjoyed the Greek gods. So this was interesting for her because the Roman counterparts were there and some of the Greek gods. So, it was something that all of us enjoyed, and it was large museum, and we walked around again, not being on a Disney excursion at our leisure. You could go to the things that you wanted to go to and spend some time, and you can blow through things that you weren't as interested in. And
Did we even know we were going to this, or did we just stumble upon it?
No, we knew.
We knew.
Okay, can't remember. Most of the items in there were recovered when Pompeii was excavated in the 1700s. I mean, some of these were, I don't know.
Old.
No, how big?
Huge, yeah.
2 stories?
Big and also old.
Yeah, wow.
And some nice mosaics.
I mean, I'm just standing in front of these like, how did somebody create this with the rudimentary tools of the time? You can see how they do it now with, power tools and precision and stuff, but man, that's impressive. And unbeknownst to us, at the time, and there was kind of a Star Wars exhibit. It wasn't really Star Wars. It was more of a comparing mythological ancient heroes to Star Wars characters exhibit they had going on, which was cool. And they also had some replica Star Wars vehicles kind of in the internal, what's the grass area?
The courtyard?
Courtyard. There you go. So that was a neat little kind of Disney-esque touch that we stumbled upon in that tour. I mean, all in all, walking around Naples, we clocked like 8.5 miles.
Oh, yeah. We were tired.
So, we're back to the ship. Isabel had room service and, kind of bounced between the edge and the lab, Oceaneer Lab and Oceaneer Club, because she's at that, crossover age where she's able to go to all 3 of those locations for the short time. Emily and I went to Palo. We had a nice sail away view of Mount Vesuvius. Good dinner.
Yeah, we did. We had a nice time.
After dinner, Emily and I went over to Cove Cafe, and we decided Emily decided to try the mocha pot experience. And if you own a mocha pot,
and why did I try it, Scott? Because it's
bloggable. But when we first saw it, back in the spring, we're like, oh, this is cool. We use a mocha pot at home here and there. We thought it was
coffee. You thought it was coffee, Scott. So the mocha pot is actually fairly labor intensive for them, because they're mixing stuff in one thing, making whipped cream, all kinds of stuff. So
right there, first of all, it's not a mocha pot.
It's not coffee. No, it's a cocktail. And I asked the gentleman, I said, I'm very concerned that this is going to be too sweet, because for you guys that are readers, that, Scott and I are not the cloyingly sweet drink kind of fans. I am forever trying to get them to hold things and add club soda or, to make things not to be sweet. So the guy's like, no, you will enjoy it. Well, it's basically rum and a bunch of liqueurs. So they take... they do take espresso. They shake it with rum, which is a good rum.
7-year aged rum.
Yeah, it's good. Kahlua, and a little bit of Hershey syrup. Then they put whipped cream, and they flavor the whipped cream with rum chata and Grand Marnier. I am not a rum chata fan. This was something special. Then they also give you some chocolates. So you're supposed to drink this and try the chocolates with it. So the cocktail, they pour it into the glass, they top it with the whipped cream, and then they give you the rest in the mocha pot, which is separated into 2, whipped cream in one side and drink in the other. This was delicious. I don't even think I enjoyed it because I drank it down because it was delicious. Very good combinations. That flavored whipped cream is delightful. I highly recommend it. It was well worth it. So, we ended our evening. It's kind of funny because we're kind of getting to the ages where we get back to the room and Isabel's not back yet, or, it's kind of a change from where it used to be, where we used to go pick her up from the club. And so it's kind of an interesting new way for us to cruise, which is nice because she can go and enjoy her stuff. But we knew it was going to be yet another early morning, and I, even with all the walking and walking that we do in the ports, I still get up and hit the gym in the morning. So in these ports, you're there like 7 a.m. So we want to get the most of our experience. So we went to bed, and then we were excited because the next day was going to be Roma.
Or Civitavecchia, if I'm saying that remotely in the ballpark.
Civitavecchia.
It's the port that is the conduit to Rome. Rome's 90 minutes away, so I can't tell you anything about the port area, outside of the concrete walls. We just drove through it. I believe there were shuttles to Civitavecchia's little town center, if you want to go shopping, or the shops over there, or restaurants. But we don't have any. We didn't go there, so can't say anything about it. Because really, the draw to this port of call is Rome, and it's one of those you need to have some sort of port adventure or prearranged transportation to do that, because pretty much everybody's getting off the ship and looking for their name on a sign or following the port adventure sign number to their bus. Because
and this is where I'm going to credit Rick Steves for the amazingness of this, because through him I found this. The tour company is called Can't Be Missed Tours, and looking back, they do them in other cities as well. So we could have booked something in Naples. They would have gone to Capri.
I believe they emailed us let
us know about different places. But the way that it was in the Rick Steves book, though, they've updated it. So it used to be that you took public transportation, which basically you took the subway, their version of the subway, the train. You got transportation to the subway, the train, and then they met you at one of the train stations on the outskirts of Rome, and they took you to these places. But they've now updated it so that they pick you up at the ship. It's the same price. So it basically hit all the things that are the high points in Rome. So it took you to the Vatican. It took you to the Colosseum. It took you to the Fountain of Four Nations, the Trevi Fountain. It took you to the high points in Rome, and it was extremely cost-effective, fantastic. I would have no problem taking this tour even again and seeing some of the same stuff, some other. It was. I don't know. What did you guys think?
Well, I thought it was fantastic, and going back on the cruise Facebook group, who did basically the Rome tour through Disney, that was the equivalent of this, people were livid about that experience.
Just real quick, Disney does offer a tour which is similar, and I didn't look for this Disney tour. I didn't even pay attention to it because this Rick Steves book, this sounded great.
The Best of Rome, CV25.
So we did, when we got on the ship, we grabbed the Port Adventures book that they give out, the flyer. And the Best of Rome. So this was, to break it down, and it's on our trip report, but this tour was 109 euros per person. You had to pay to get into the Vatican, which was 26 euros per adult, 17 euros for children, 18 and under. So the total was 396 euros, which was about $463 US. You had to get your own lunch and gelato, which was, nothing for us. It was like under $40. We were picked up at 8 a.m., dropped off at 5:15, all aboard at 6:45, because I know people get super nervous about this stuff. So DCL's tour is called the Best of Rome, and is, wait for it, $395 per person over the age of 10. So you're talking for the same tour, which includes lunch. Okay. That's $1,200, guys. $1,200. And we paid under $500. $1,200. It doesn't include the Pantheon. And you go in the Colosseum, which we could have paid extra to go in, but the line was insane, and they were having a concert, and they said that at any time that the band, who was it, Scott?
It was none other than
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the North, general of the Felix Legions, loyal servant to the true emperor Marcus Aurelius, father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and I will have my vengeance in this life or the next.
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
His band or something was doing a
Exactly.
concert.
So, but anyways, you know, I realize that there are listeners out there and readers that would absolutely never not book a DCL tour, and that's fine. Perfect. I totally get it. Scott was like that for the first free cruises we went on. But for those of you that are willing to do that, look at the difference. And I got to tell you, our tour was great. We had a driver, we had a tour guide. It was, I don't know. I thought it was like a perfect day. It was a perfect day.
Well,
So Scott, let's talk about the tour.
So, like I said, it's a 90-minute drive. I think, give or take, there may be about 20 people all together in our group, mixed between 2 to 3 vans. 3 vans. So maybe 4 families. And so, you know, we got picked up right at the port, you know, steps from, you know, the security gate there to get on the ship.
By local, I mean, the tour driver was a local.
Mm-hmm.
They tell you, I mean, I know that people are like, oh my God, the traffic. They tell you about that in advance. And because they're local, they know how to deal with the traffic and they time plan for it. So, not ever was a worry that we would miss the ship, or none of that did ever go through our head. So
it's a 90-minute drive, and it was a private van, nice Mercedes van, easy ride.
we were with one other family.
Our first stop, you know, once we got into the Vatican City area in Rome, Vatican City, traffic was bumper to bumper and crawling at best. So like you said, that's why it takes a while. But our driver dropped us off 50 yards, at least, if that, from the Vatican Museum's entrance, where we were introduced to our tour guide for the day, who's part of the group. He just didn't come to the port, and he handed us these little devices with a headphone, so he can talk in his microphone, and we can hear him in our ear, so you don't have to shout, with all the people around. As long as you're within 100 yards, this is very common in the area. These tour communication devices.
Yeah, you pick up what channel that they're going to be on.
It's great, and so we could hear him. It allows you to kind of drift away from the group to look at something else and still kind of hear what he's saying. But we.
He's awesome. He was like, here's where you use the bathroom. Here's where the bathrooms are free, because, in Europe, it's not like they are here, where you can just walk into, McDonald's and use the restroom. You have to have patrons only, or, pay toilets or things like that. So he would be like, okay, everybody use the restroom now. Or, here's where I recommend you get this, or recommend you go through that. So he was fantastic, literally fantastic.
And like Emily said, the tour, we talked about how much it cost us, but it was set up where we prepaid the tour fee online, but admission to our various stops was tabulated as we went, and we paid at the end, before we returned to the ship, just in the event if something was closed, because sometimes the Vatican's closed, sometimes you can't go into Sistine Chapel, sometimes you can't go to the Colosseum, so they don't want to charge you ahead of time and have to worry about refunds. So that's something we had to take currency with us to pay, and also to tip at the end, everybody. So we started out in the Vatican Museum, which more or less I call it the queue for the Sistine Chapel.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, if you're familiar with the way Flight of Passage worked, and inevitably how Galaxy's Edge is going to be at Hollywood Studios, where the lines are just ridiculous 5 days before it even opens, and it's already strung out to MCO. That's pretty much the line to get in the Sistine Chapel on this. And luckily, our guide was like a an official Vatican or a authorized Vatican guide. So more or less, kind of like if you think about the Disney World VIP tours that you can kind of book, where they can kind of get you ahead of some lines or know the inside secrets.
Totally.
That's what he was able to do. In terms of the Vatican guide, he's able to kind of go through more or less like a fast pass line, for lack of better terminology, into the museum. They have preferred times that they can go in as well, and there were some other line shortcuts within the museum progressing towards the Sistine Chapel that we're able to take to speed up our time going through. So, that was an added benefit, for us, that we weren't waiting in the typical standby line. That was all prearranged, ahead of time with the tour group. Everything in there was gorgeous, but like with all those people being herded through is kind of how I can think of it.
Totally.
Herded through hallways where you see these gorgeous works of art on the ceiling, the tapestries on the wall, statues, all this stuff, but you can't really sit there and enjoy it or casually walk by, take it in in the grand scale of the space, because it's wall to wall people.
To wall
moving,
to wall people.
Moving at a pace.
Filling in all of the available space.
And if you were there on your own, you could leisurely walk through there at your own pace. But as a group, you're still having to, stay up so you can get through it. And, we had a day of stuff to do. So, you pick and choose. But just the idea of it's busy. So if crowds are a thing, keep this in mind. You're going to have to pack your patience for this little tour.
And also, it would have been literally impossible to have a stroller. Impossible.
Right.
With all of the stairs and all of the people.
It wasn't handicapped.
If you have a baby and you need to put them in a carrier so that you're wearing them, because it is, there's absolutely no way.
Pack your patience and say goodbye to your personal space.
We did. We were very good.
Yeah.
Even Isabel was like just taking it in stride because there's so much to look at.
It's one of those things, you're here and make the most of it. It's awesome, but knowing that you get...
Yep.
So Sistine Chapel is gorgeous.
Yeah, it was amazing. And it's silent in there.
It's silent.
No photos.
They don't allow photography anymore, even photography with no flash, because they don't trust people to turn their flashes off, which is fine. But it's one of those, you go by the postcard or just ride Spaceship Earth to see the ceiling. Anyone gets that reference, awesome. If not, I'm sorry. So we got through. It was awesome. It was you just kind of exit and you're right there at once you get out of the Sistine Chapel, you're kind of right there, more or less at the entrance to St. Peter's Basilica and St. Peter's Square. And
crazy awesome too.
And again, our tour guide had, our group able to go almost immediately. Maybe had like 5 minutes. We had to wait for him to go up and make sure our group could come in, but we were able to go right into the Basilica.
And this is where you have to have your shoulders covered. We were under the impression that your legs had to be covered too, but people did have shorts on. They absolutely would not let someone in with a tank top if they didn't have a scarf. And there are people selling scarves there if you happen to forget yours. Isabel and I just didn't wear tank tops and shorts, so we didn't have the problem. But they are absolutely checking to make sure your shoulders are covered. So 100%.
Yeah, I wore pants that day because that's what, everything, all the literature we read and the things we saw online. But the only thing they really cared about were shoulders.
Yep.
And they probably would have, shorts kind of thing. But, golf attire. There were gentlemen in golf attire, golf shorts, polo shirts, not a problem.
The local folks did have pants on, like our tour guide had jeans.
But they probably would have, they probably preferred pants, but they were at least lenient when it came to shorts. Might have just gotten lucky that we didn't see anybody getting, but their primary focus was the covered shoulders.
Yep.
Again, the Basilica was pretty sweet. Once again,
great.
it was tons of people, but you're able to kind of go around and see things in there. And then it was off to St. Peter's Square, which I don't know. Personally, it was a lot bigger than I thought it was. Or it's a lot bigger than what I had in mind, but I blame TV and movies for that.
The funny thing for me was you're going down the street and there's shops on both sides after you go get out of the church and the obelisk. And it's just, I didn't expect the rosaries, it's like the objectification of religion was kind of funny. Like,
it's gift shops.
Yeah, it's just, but there's a ton of street people selling stuff too. Right. So the one thing that we did.
Well, no, they had all those people selling selfie sticks.
Oh my God, the selfie sticks. Yes, so true.
And battery chargers.
He did try to, our tour guide wanted us to go into a cafeteria to get food because there was,
down outside of St. Peter's Square.
That was the place that you could get the most variety. And he was right. He was like, you can, excuse me. The variety was there. You could get gelato, you could get alcoholic beverages if you wanted, you could get, however, it was packed. So a bunch of us from our tour group bailed. And we
only had so much time to lunch before we were meeting the van.
But the other thing, and keep this in mind, there are a lot of places down there that are cash only, euros only. And we didn't quite plan for that as well because, it's not like that at all in Norway, Iceland. Everything's chip enabled.
Barcelona and Naples, it was all, just pay with your card.
Everything. So we had to find a place that was, we actually had a hard time finding a place till we walked in because usually they have a sign on the door and a lot of them say cash only, to a pizza place that I went up and asked the girl, I said, do you take Visa? And she said yes. So we were super excited because we were going to try Roman pizza. So Isabel and Scott were kind of salivating at the idea of this pizza because it was so different. It was like the thick, like Sicilian bready.
How much pizza do you want? Yeah, just cut.
Yeah, so
it's by weight.
It's a slab of pizza. And so Scott and Isabel had cheese, and I had some with like olives and peppers and stuff on it. But it's cool because it was by weight. And then as we're in line, I'm like, Isabel, do you want to grab a water? And we did bring our own stuff as well, but our own drink receptacle that we were carrying around. But
water bottle.
Yeah, exactly. What was like one of our They had bottles of wine.
One in Rome.
The bottle of wine was a nice rosé, €8. And they had a corkscrew for it, like they do it for you. They put the cork back in and give you 2 extremely classy plastic cups. So here, Scott, Isabel, and I, actually they gave us 3 because even though Isabel's 11, it doesn't matter. So we sat and enjoyed our pizza and wine while looking at a church, which I thought was kind of funny. But honestly, it was great because it was super, super fast compared to what the cafeteria was. So, and the cheapest wine in Europe is better than some of our expensive wine. So we didn't have a bad glass of wine, did we, Scott? No. Everything was delicious. I mean, that bottle of wine was €8.
Right.
So we didn't have dessert because he was taking us to a family-owned gelato place along the way and kept telling us, like, he built this place up. So we figured it had to be good.
Or he's an excellent salesman and gets a cut at the end of the day.
I don't know, Scott. That gelato was special.
I'm kidding. I'm not.
So, anyways, we met him he told us again where to go to the bathroom, which we did and washed our hands. And he told us the drivers were going to meet us.
Yeah, that's the best part. We never had to backtrack with these drivers. They came to
you.
Were. So, where we started in the Vatican and progressed through and essentially came out the other side, the vans were there to get us.
Yeah, it was great.
And we were off on a tour of the fountains.
Yeah, we did the Fountains of 4 Nations, then we went to the Pantheon, and right across from the Pantheon was the gelato place.
Cremeria.
And he said it's family-owned, it's made there. A lot of the gelato places have their stuff shipped in, which is kind of funny. But, I'm not a gelato expert, but this was definitely some special gelato. Isabel, what would you say? You are an ice cream gelato fan. What did you think?
It was the best of the best.
Yeah, it was super good.
And when the tour guide says get double cream, you get double cream. It's unlike any whipped cream you've ever had.
Well, they fill the cone with it.
They fill the waffle cone with it, and then they put the gelato in, and then they put some more on it. It's fantastic.
It was great. It was fantastic. And then at that point, so we walked around to a bunch of places. Then we went to the Trevi Fountain, which is where you throw the coin in, and it's the wishing well luck kind of thing. Talking about crime. In Rick Steves' book mentions pickpockets in Naples. Isabel actually noticed that there was somebody following her and I around the Trevi Fountain. So just be on your game.
There were a lot of people there, so
there were a lot of people. I wore the which you're not supposed to do because they know you're a tourist. But I wore the DCL backpack that comes on the ship, the triangle bag, just because it was one less thing to pack. But there was really nothing in it. It was just like water and.
You're a mark.
But Isabel was like, yeah, there was somebody following you around. So, that was very cool. We did that. Then we got back with our drivers and went to the Colosseum. We walked the exterior.
Yeah, because this is where he kind of like broke the news to everybody that, we technically have time to go into the Colosseum.
Yeah.
However, with the concert being set up, the concert promoters or the people running it could say, hey, we need to clear everybody out, do like a sound check, and once you're in, you're not going to get a refund.
And the line was insane.
And he's like, in the best interest of getting everybody back to the ship on time, not wasting your money in case we do get kicked out. I mean, he left it up to the group to make the decision.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he could have taken. And
honestly, I didn't really feel cheated because you also have to think at this point you've had a super long day.
Mm-hmm.
And the line there was, it was, and you could see all the DCL tour folks with their stickers and signs there too. But
it would have been nice to go in, but you can see in during the little openings. You're like, oh, there's
we walked around the
people.
entire.
After going through the Vatican, I'm like, I don't need to be herded around again for another hour. And just being there was seeing the Colosseum with my own eyes was, I wasn't let down that we didn't get to go in.
I actually was not either. Isabel was looking forward to it because again, it's the hit.
Roman Empire.
Exactly. But we weren't upset that we couldn't go in, and it was okay. So we were done after that, and we took the 90-minute ride back to the ship, and it was time to clean up for dinner because it was warm over there. So we were sweating, and it was sunny, and it was hot. And we had the World of Flavor menu, which was delightful. We thought we were going to go see Solo, but we just decided to play Thuggo in the Snuggly Duckling takeover in O'Gill's. And it was time we had to go to bed again because you're just exhausted. And the next day was Livorno, so yet another port day.
With 4 days down, I think this is a great time to take a break, and we will return next week with the second half of our 7-night Mediterranean cruise trip report podcast. Thanks for listening. Have a question, comment, rumor, or just want to say hi? Call 321-765-3252 to leave a voicemail, and we just might include it in a future episode. You can reach us via the comments section on the website, email at contact@disneycruiselineblog.com, Twitter @the DCL blog, and Facebook, facebook.com/Disney Cruise Line blog.